Hey everybody, welcome to Around the Verse. I'm Ben Lesnick and I am reporting from Austin, Texas, where of course Star Citizen's persistent universe is being built. And I am joined this week not by Sandy Gardner, but by another familiar face.
Pete Mackey, and used to be on the show a little while ago as the weatherman.
Yep, back in the Wingman's Hangar days, Pete would report the weather from different locations in the Star Citizen universe. So how is the weather in Austin today?
It is gorgeous. The desk also serves as the weather porch, and I'm looking out the window. It is blue skies and about 70 degrees.
It is beautiful here. And the office is so different. When I started here 3 years ago, in fact, Pete and I were the only people who worked for Cloud Imperium Games. It was the two of us alone without computers in the old office. And I come here today and it's just this huge professional fancy office. Everybody heads down doing amazing work. I don't recognize anyone.
Well, you haven't been here for a little while, have you?
No, it's been a full year.
Wow.
And
well, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. I miss Austin quite a bit. But it's great to come out here. We're shooting some segments for ATV, both the episode itself and some other interviews that we'll be able to kind of sprinkle in some Persistent Universe content in the future. And of course, in addition to filming for ATV, we're getting ready for the big event tomorrow, the first official Star Citizen Town Hall, which is going to be focused on the Persistent Universe. We have several different panels run by the guys here in Austin. They're going to be showing off all sorts of mechanics and plans that you may not have heard about yet. We're going to have a meet and greet. We're going to have a session where we take suggestions from backers, and we're going to cap off the evening with a presentation from Chris Roberts. And I know the guys here have been they've been doing incredible work, and finally they kind of get to share it after like a year of working heads down in the dark.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool for the team here to be able to show what they're doing. And a lot of us are actually going to be wandering the floor at PAX throughout the weekend. So, if you see us, come say hi. We'd love to meet you.
They love long, sweaty hugs.
Lingering handshakes.
Lingering handshakes, that thing where you kiss both sides of their face. Say hi. See, now it's good that no one in the Austin office can be identified. Except Pete. Look for Pete. And I believe you're also our DJ for the big event.
Yep, I am putting some music together for the meet and greet section. So.
Let this be a lesson to anyone out there who ever lets Sandy know that they were a former DJ. You will be called upon. But speaking of presentations, hopefully everyone saw Chris's BAFTA speech Tuesday. It was live streamed to everyone, and they're going to be getting a link out so that people can catch up with it later. We'll have that on the RSI site as soon as it's available.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that. I haven't had a chance to see it.
I feel like you probably don't get a chance to do anything here. It seems like everybody just works all hours.
Yeah, we're pretty heads down over here. So
it was a good speech, though. Chris talked a lot about kind of his career and how important community is to making Star Citizen possible. It was a good one. Moving back to the Star Citizen world, hopefully you have all had a chance to test fly the Mustang. It's been available the last few days just to let people fly the 5 different variants, including the military and the Mustang Omega Racer from AMD, both of which are not available in the store at the moment. We thought it would be an opportunity to let everybody try it out. And again, you probably are too busy to...
haven't had a chance, but I do love the look of the Mustang. I think that's one of the cooler looking ships. So
it is. It's very cool for a starter ship. I mean, I love the Aurora. It looks like the old Tarsus from Privateer, but man, it's not even a choice when I look at the two. I'll take the cool bug spaceship.
Or the space truck.
Yeah, Space Cube. And, we're going to get so many angry letters from Aurora backers. We love you guys. We love your Space Cubes. Speaking of the Mustang, this is your absolute last chance to get in a pre-order for the Mustang Goliath mousepad, or the Squadron 42 shirt, or the, what's the other thing that I'm forgetting?
The Second Fleet dog tag.
Thank you. I should probably actually read my script.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, because you don't have anything more important. We also have brought back physical packages. Just before the holidays, we removed them from the store because we are at the point in the process where we need to know essentially how many of these things we need to make. So, how many blueprints do we have to print? How many collector's boxes do we have to make? So Sandy is very concerned with getting that all ready so we can actually send you the things you pledged for. But of course, we realized after the fact that that was pretty sudden notice, in that there was absolutely no notice. So we brought them back for the rest of the month. If you want to pick up a launch copy of Star Citizen, this is your time to do it. Get the physical pledges in now so we know how many we're going to make. We're going to take them out of the store starting February 1st. So go to it, pilots.
Get to it, pilots?
What, I'm a marketing genius. Well, let's talk nitty-gritty, hardcore Star Citizen with the news from around the verse.
Starting with Arena Commander, it looks like the Retaliator multi-crew setup is being prototyped right now.
In fact, Chris went out to the UK for one of our summits just after the first of the year, and all he can talk about is how cool the Retaliator is looking. So you guys are going to be seeing more of that soon, and he also seems to be being used for all the prototyping now. So in this case, they are putting the cap ship systems and the multi-crew seat, multiple players in the same map thing into works.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see, how that's coming along over in the UK.
Me too. They're doing some great work.
AI behavior has been updated to support wingman commands.
That is work from the guys at Moon Collider. If you remember in Wing Commander back in the day, you would have to hit C and pick from a list of options. We have our own more modern equivalent of that you will be seeing soon.
All right, no more communication menu in the cockpit, huh? Ejection systems for all of our ships are being refined.
This is one of those things that Pete and I can remember from back in the day, because our very, very early ship designs, we may not have considered things like ejection or cargo, and we just wanted to make them look cool. So now we have to go back and figure out how you get out of the ships.
Yeah, how do you get out of a ship that's completely open on the inside?
Luckily, we have a great team that can figure out those shortcomings.
All right, so next up, it looks like we've got some Squadron 42 news. The MoCap and PCAP sessions are planned and scheduled.
Chris is going to be going out there to the UK to direct some of that. It's going to be cool to have him in the director's chair again. And
the landing polish is ongoing, which is actually kind of cool because there's going to be quite a bit of landing in the persistent universe, I would imagine.
I logged into Shotgun the other day, which is our art outsourcing system, and it was amazing that they have whole missions that are coming together now. You can watch the video of Squadron 42 in action. It seemed like it was disparate bits a couple weeks ago, and now there's a game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that was posted up, but I actually haven't looked at it because I want to be surprised. I want the experience of playing it myself. It looks like that's it for Squadron 42. Next up, we've got some Persistent Universe news. The concepts for props are entering Phase 1.
Oh, you're the Persistent Universe guy. You can tell me what this means.
Yeah, so what we did is we did a couple of lists of stuff that we want to use to decorate out the environments, from things as mundane as plates and cups, to crazy sci-fi equipment that might be hanging around in a corner somewhere.
I walked in yesterday. There was someone with like 50 pairs of boots she was concepting.
Yeah, that was Megan. Yeah, she's been doing a lot of the concept prop work. The Moby-Glass Mission Manager menu has also received some updates.
I will tell you guys that you'll be seeing more of the Moby-Glass in about a week and a half. The guys at Behavior are putting together our next big deep dive design post. They're going to kind of be revealing the whole system they've come up with. So check that out, not this week, but hopefully next week.
And finally, the relay station concept has continued work.
Just another space station for our universe.
And moving on to ships, the Bulldog has entered the concept phase.
Bulldog is, of course, our Star Citizen heavy fighter, night fighter, which was voted in the last wave of ships by you guys. Although, of course, there's some debate about the name out there we've seen. We are taking that very seriously. It's being concepted by Gurmak in Santa Monica. So cool. We are hoping to get an update when we go home.
I'm excited to see that one.
Me too. I was in a meeting with him the other day, and he was just sketching out. He sketched out like a dozen different ships. I was like, sell that. We can sell all of these.
That's the problem with in-house concept is there's so many cool things.
And then you share it, and everybody goes, why didn't you use that one or that one or that one? I'm sorry.
Where'd you get the name for the Bulldog?
It was a completely original idea that had nothing to do with James.
The Orion concept is now in the white box phase.
The Orion is being done by George Hull, who you saw with the Reclaimer a couple months back. He's a fantastic artist in Hollywood. I have not seen the art yet, but I expect great things. The Orion, of course, is our big mining platform for the persistent universe, and it's going to be a cool ship for people who are into that particular lifestyle.
Cool. He did some work on the Matrix movies?
Matrix? Yeah, I know he worked on the Wachowskis' latest, the one with Mila Kunis. Jupiter Ascending.
Ah, yeah. Awesome. And finally, a bearing ballistic weapon has entered the concept phase.
You guys are going to be seeing a lot more weapons. In fact, if we manage to patch this week, fingers crossed, it's looking likely, but you guys know how these things go. If we manage to patch this week, there'll be a couple new weapons in the Voyager Direct store.
Yeah, in fact, there was a meeting this morning on that very topic. Next up, we have news on the FPS module. Looks like most of the limb damage penalties have been finished and implemented.
You guys read about the limb damage system in our kind of Health of a Spaceman update we did about a month ago. We've a very comprehensive system for injuries in the FPS module.
Yeah, and that's being done by the guys up at Ilphonic, right?
Yep. All the FPS stuff is Ilphonic, and we are really looking forward to kind of integrating it with the rest of the game that we've been building here.
Animations for reloading while crouched have been added.
It's amazing when you think of how many animations you need just for operating a gun in different positions, and it's an incredible amount of work goes into these things.
Yep, running, crouching, anything.
Lying prone,
yep. Yeah. And finally, the third-person movement in zero gravity is currently being tweaked.
That's going to be, I think, the big thing about the FPS module is the zero-G stuff, because we're not just setting the gravity to zero and letting people float around. We have a comprehensive system with like handhelds and jetpacks and magnet boots and all that cool stuff. It's going to be an experience in and of itself.
Yeah, it's coming along pretty cool. I'm really excited to let players get a hands on that.
Yeah, I've been watching the battle arena come together, and I can't wait to play that game.
Yeah.
That's it for news from around the verse. Let's go back over to Santa Monica for the latest edition of
Bug Smashers.
Very nice.
So I can start? Can I start? Bug Smashers! Hey everyone, welcome back to Bug Smashers. Insert pop culture reference here that nobody ever gets, except for maybe the two people like Brandon? I don't know. They wanted me to do something about the bug pester? Oh god, no. Ah, god. Hey everyone, we're here in our fancy dancy hangar with no walls, and I'm just gonna hop into the game. And here we have a simple little fun buggy, and if you actually bump into it, it will continue to basically go up and down and slowly move forward inch by inch. Slowly moving. Woo! This is more of a fun visual bug, where the buggy, once it starts, or once it wakes up from physics, it just never goes back to sleep. Ah, the fun physics bugs. So this has been in the build for a while, and we've got around to finally looking at it. What happens when you hit a vehicle or any physics object in the game, it will update and then it will keep simulating until it's told not to. In this case, in this little block of code, it will look at the energy level and runs a bunch of logic to figure out whether or not it should sleep. So let's find out how much energy this guy is generating. So this value right here shows our current energy level for the vehicle. We're at 6 energy. Then we're at 184, 165, 221, 120, 623. So it's oscillating because the vehicle is jumping up and down. And when it goes up and down, because of its springs, it will generate more and more energy. Yay! Too bad it doesn't work like that in the real world. Just bounce it and keep generating more energy. So what we're going to do is go into our little buggy code here, and if you notice, our buggy XML, there is I won't move, min energy. So this is the minimum energy it needs to stay awake.
And as you can see, this is a really small value that used to be okay, but we changed some things in physics, so now our energy levels are basically a lot higher. And if you notice, our energy levels were between 6, 10, 20, 30, 100, and 200. So I'm just gonna use an arbitrary value of 66 and see how that goes. So I'm gonna pop out the game, reload the scripts, hop back in the game, hit the buggy. Let's see if it stops. Hey, it stopped. So I hit it. Not yet. All right, let's see what its energy level is now. So energy is 120, 190. So 66 won't do it. So let's pop that to, we'll go to 300 and see how that goes. Does that work? Hey, he's no longer popping. Or wait, is he popping? Yeah, he is popping. Why are you popping? We're at 22. We should be going asleep. Let's make sure we're using the correct energy level. Yep, it's set to 300. Oh, there it goes. Now it went to rest. Our physics was still hitting it, so it was not going to sleep. All right, so that made it go to sleep. Let's make sure we can still use the vehicle. And of course we can, because for pure joy, let's see how much energy this thing creates. I'm gonna put condition on here and say if we're above 300 energy, just so we can see how much energy we get when we start driving. Ooh, 6,000. All right, that's not bad. So let's try, can we go higher than 6,000? Ooh, we're going higher. All right, so as you can see, our 300 is totally fine. So if I hop out, whee. The vehicle is no longer moving. All is well, it is now asleep. And the reason why we had to change this to a higher value is because we did some new, or I should say, physics programmer John Pridgett actually modified a bunch of our physics code because the original adaptation of the engine only looked at your linear velocity for your energy. So that means you could, if you're staying still and you were rotating, you could fall asleep and stop rotating. So John had to fix it so where the energy calculations would take into account your translation and your rotation. So now you'll start rotating and you won't fall asleep. But this was actually in there for many months ago. So that change a long time ago affected how the buggy falls asleep, and we just haven't updated it until now. So now we set the min energy to 300 and that buggy falls asleep right after you hit it. So no more sliding buggy slowly across the hangar, hopefully. And that's it. All right, so today's bug had to deal with the energy levels of our physics objects. The buggy had a very small energy level that he had to hit in order for it to fall asleep. However, due to some changes John Pritchett made to the engine a long time ago, which takes the rotation and the translation into account to compute the energy levels, that energy level is now bigger, because if you're rotating or translating a little bit, you're going to contribute to your whole energy level. And since the buggy's energy level to fall asleep was like a very tiny amount, you could ram into it and it would just slowly move because of its mass and its springs. So all we had to do was just jack up that min energy level to about 300, and now the buggy will, after you hit it, move a little bit, but it will still fall asleep because the energy is still relatively small. And there you have it, physics bugs. Woo!
Thanks, Mark. And by the way, we shot some footage with the Bug Smashers here in Texas, so we can have a Texas-sized edition in the near future.
Now to Will for this week's MVP.
Hey everybody, I'm lead moderator Will here to bring you this week's MVP.
This week's MVP goes to General Jack O'Neill for his thread about organization posters. It's in the organization thread, and if you have an organization that you would like to promote, you should put your poster in there because we've stickied it. That way anybody who's new that comes in can find out really what they want to do and where they should go to do it. So thank you very much, General Jack, for this week's MVP.
Thanks, Will.
Let's go over to Tralexis for the latest from CS. Man, if anybody ever needed one of those hang in there baby cat posters, it's those ladies.
And now to James, who's interviewing the Austin studio head, John Erskine.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with John Erskine. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Pleasure to have you on finally.
Likewise, thanks.
So how's Austin doing?
Austin is great. You know, we've got beautiful weather in this January day, and everybody's happy to be here, so it's good.
Yeah, this is my first time in the Austin office, and I love it here.
I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it.
Thanks. Well, we got some questions from the fans. You want to take those?
Absolutely.
Cool. The first question comes from Azriel Dominov. You seem like a busy guy. Could you please walk us through what you might do in a regular work week?
Well, I am pretty busy. I have a lot of different responsibilities in the company. I'm in charge of the operations of the Austin studio. I'm the studio director here. I'm also in charge of the platform and all the website that you see that is developed by the Turbulent team. I'm responsible for the teams that manage our corporate IT and DevOps, and I'm involved in a lot of the business operations in the company. Thankfully, I have a really great management team, so what I spend a lot of my time doing is working with my managers to make sure they have the resources and the support that they need. Here in Austin, we have an office manager, and her name is Nanetta. She does a great job making sure that the studio is a pleasant place to be, and that people have, you know, everything from fresh fruit to good coffee, and that we have fun events usually once a month. And so she's just a fantastic asset to the team for the operation of the studio here. I work very, very closely with the Turbulent team, and that's managed by Benoit Bossejo, who a lot of people have seen in our various videos and live streams and podcasts. He gets a lot of airtime, and so we know that people love to keep track of the work that that team is doing. There are a lot of days that Benoit, you know, outside of my family, that Benoit's the first person I talk to and the last person I talk to in a day. So he and I work really, really, really closely together. Here in the studio, we have Mike Jones, who manages all of our corporate IT. So he manages all the server storage and the build servers and all the really technical stuff, and then coordinates those activities with other IT managers in our other studios. And Jeremy Masker is the head of our DevOps team, and so he's managing the publish process and the build process and a lot of those sorts of activities. I also manage the QA team that is part of my responsibility, and we have a QA manager here, Justin Binford, and he's fantastic. He's managing the team here, working with our other QA teams throughout the company, and every day they're just testing everything under the sun, you name it, from ship balance to flight controls to making sure stats are correct and that the builds run and that the artist tools work. And so it's a really, really intricate process, and they do a great job managing that. So I stay busy helping to make sure all those processes are running and to basically make sure that all of those managers have the support that they need to be successful in their job.
You pretty much just could have said everything.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I don't do, you know, like, you know, we've got Sandy and we've got Chris and we've got lots of people that are also very, very busy in their disciplines, but I do cross over a lot of different areas.
Gotcha. Next question comes from Hawks. What is being done to improve the workflow of new players joining the website? The recent update made it a bit harder for new people to find their way around.
We launched the new look and feel of this site, especially the homepage, right before Christmas. And we're very happy with a lot of the elements that were included in that new design. Like, we really like the full video on the front page. We really like the new header and footer of the site. We think it's a lot cleaner navigation. We like a lot of the art elements that are included in that. I think you're right. It made it a little different about how the front page feels as far as getting the latest news at the top of the page and different things. And so we're continuing to tweak that and work on that. One of the pieces that we're working on literally today is a new flow that will be available directly, like from the bottom of the front page above the fold. Internally, we're calling it Fly Now, and the idea is that you'll be presented with some sort of a graphic or a button or something that'll say Fly Now, a call to action. And if you click that, then what we'll do is we have a pretty really the challenge is that we have a complicated system, right? We've got so many ships to choose from, and there's all these different things like, are you a first-time backer? Do you know about the game? Do we need to educate you? Do you know what you want? So we have a workflow, or a flow chart maybe is a better term, to figure out, like, are you logged into the site or are you not logged into the site? Do we know anything about you? Like, do you have a cookie in your browser that tells us that you've been to the site before and different things? But the point of all this is that we want to make it so that people who are new to the site that want to fly now or join up can basically get in, pick one of the starter ships, create an account if they need to, and then download the game and start flying that ship in Arena Commander. We just are trying to remove all the extraneous noise from that flow so that you could basically click the button, pick a ship, create an account if you need to, check out, download the game, and start playing. And we've been working on that flow since we got back from the holidays. I think we have the flow figured out now. And so this week we're working on the art that will go along with that, and we hope that in the next, in the very near future, that we'll be able to launch that on the site. And making the site usable and user-friendly is going to be a never-ending project for us because of the fact that the game is so complicated.
Yeah, it's kind of our coolest thing, but also the thing that always does us in the end.
That's right.
The project is so big and so interesting, but it's so hard to condense that down to something we can, explain to new people.
That's right. That's true. One of the other pieces that we're working on now is a new page that we're calling the Community Hub, and this will be essentially a landing page for people who are already part of the community. And the way that we're sort of thinking about it is that if you go to the home page, that's kind of like where we want to have, the best graphical experience, the most kind of, almost kind of like marketing type, information about the game. And then we also want to have a different landing page in the site that we're calling the Community Hub that's for existing community members who we don't need to sell them on the game, right? You want to know, like, what's the latest news, what's going on in the community, where are the latest dev posts, what's going on other social media streams or whatever. And so we're working on, we call it wireframing, basically laying out that page without doing all the artwork and the graphical work so that we can get the look and feel of that page correct. And we think that'll also be a big resource for people to kind of get all the news and all the information they want in one place without having to search all over the site to find it, or maybe go off to different sites to find it as well. So we think that with the Fly Now flow and the Community Hub, we'll have a pretty good complete package for new players and for existing community members as well.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to the Community Hub. I think that's going to be great for people watch the show, and it's a good way for them to see what we're doing.
There's some cool ideas. I know we have had some conversations and have more conversations to come about all of the, very, very rich fan material that we can pull into that page, whether it's fan-made YouTube videos or different resources that people are posting, organization websites. I'm just constantly blown away by some of the sites that I see that organizations have put together already to link their organizations together and describe who they are as a group and how they fit together, you know, in terms of the universe that we're building. So we want to try to bring all of that stuff into a place where people can find it easily, even on our site. And then they can go off and explore it deeper on the other sites, but we want to sort of surface that to members of the community in one place where it's easy to find.
Next question comes from Gornax. How many different platforms and configurations does QA test against?
Oh, that's a good question. I mentioned Justin and his team a minute ago. We have, at any given moment, we have about 9 different channels that we're building, so versions of the game that we're building. So like we have 1 or 2 or 3 different versions of the game for QA to test. We have a main branch of the game where a lot of developers are writing new code that's not even ready to go out to live yet, but that's kind of where people work. That gets tested by QA. We have art builds, we have outsource builds, we have localization builds, we have builds that have new game engine code. We call them vendor merge builds. And so there's about 9 of those, and the build system is constantly building new versions of the game for each of those different channels as new code gets checked in. Some of them get built once every 24 hours, some of them get built whenever somebody manually kicks off a build. And so QA is constantly jumping between all those different channels to say, oh, well, the artists need a new art build, so we got to get that tested today. And then often it's the case that we have developers who are checking in their work in the evening as they're, you know, burning the midnight oil. And so what often happens is we'll kick off a new QA build at night on the West Coast for you guys in California, with the goal of it being ready in the morning for the team in the UK to test, so that they can start testing it essentially while we're still sleeping. And then when we come in, then the teams can work together to test either multiplayer matches or different things that may need more testers. And that cycle just runs continuously. We have lots of different hardware configurations that the QA testers use with different video cards and different processors and different high-end machines. We test on low-end machines that are either at or below our min spec to just see how that works with the game. In some cases, even machines that are below our stated min spec will work. In some cases, there's pieces of that configuration that cause it not to run very well. So they're constantly, the QA team is constantly just mixing and matching different video cards and different operating systems and different processors to try to make sure that we're testing things as thoroughly as possible.
So a lot of moving parts.
Very, yes. And you should see the checklist that they work through, because even the game in its relatively early state now is very, very complex. For a build to be really a candidate to go to the live servers, you know, we test every ship, we test every weapon configuration, we test every game mode, we test every, you know, now with the new lobby system, we're testing the friend system, we're making sure stats show up on the leaderboards correctly, and so it's really a very complicated system, and to do a full checklist is really, it takes a lot of work on the part of the QA team, so it's pretty cool to see the output of that.
Next question comes from Bear Squish, who apparently gets a question every week.
All right.
What areas do you find yourself spending the most time addressing, both at the Austin level and at the CIG level? How do you handle wearing so many different hats?
The most time, I would say the areas where I spend the most time, it varies. It's kind of round robin a lot of times, honestly. We have a very good management team in the company. I mentioned, as we were chatting earlier, different managers here in the Austin studio. You know, historically I've spent the most of my time working on the platform and the website and e-commerce and all the kind of technical aspects of that. These days we're spending the lion's share of our time working to improve our build system and our patching system. Because we have so many different game channels and because internal developers are constantly switching between one channel and another, one stream and another. It is very complicated to manage the process of how you patch from one version of the game to the other version of the game to the other version of the game. We have multiple internal test environments, and those different test environments need specific configurations when you log in. And so managing that process and frankly the process that we have today has become so complicated that it's very prone to failures or errors. So I'm spending a very, very significant part of my time now working with Jeremy and the DevOps team, and we have various engineers around the company that are collaborating with us on this system to basically build a new system that's much simpler. It'll be more manual, but the goal is to make it less prone to error. And so that's where I'm spending a lot of my time now. As far as how I manage wearing so many different hats, I guess it's just I'm used to that. I've been working in the game industry a long time, maybe almost 20 years now, specifically working in MMOs and live operations, and it's like being on the front lines, and so maybe I'm accustomed to that. The idea that there's just constantly something going on that needs your attention, and it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but at least I'm accustomed to it.
It seems hard.
It is, but like I've said, but part of the reason that it works is because we do have people that are very passionate about the game, and they're very passionate about what they're doing in our management team, and you know, everybody is pulling for the same goal. It's a lot of work. I mean, we have a lot of work still ahead of us in order to publish the game that we envision, but everybody on the team is committed to that, and you know, like I said, we're driving for the same goal, so that makes it worthwhile.
Last question comes from John or Drake. Are there any plans to allow credit card-based purchases directly from CIG without having to go through third parties like Amazon in the near future?
That's a good question. The answer is yes and no. The reason that we work with card processors and those types of vendors is because we don't want to store personal information in our system. So in our system, we don't store your credit card number. We don't store that type of information. There are a number of reasons for that. One reason is because it moves the burden of that security to somebody like Amazon or like PayPal or like Stripe, who are the three partners we use today. And that's their business, right? That's what they do, is they make sure that your information is secure. They're in that business, and that's cool. And so it means that there's no risk that we're going to leak your credit card, or that our database is going to get compromised and your stuff's going to get stolen. Like, since we don't touch that, you know, we hand off the session to the processor, you put in your information there, and then we just basically get an encrypted token back that says, yep, payment went through, it's all good. We don't really plan to change that process and become a card processor ourselves. I have done that with other companies in the past. It introduces a very, very high level of scrutiny and security that you have to maintain in order to be able to process transactions like that. And to be really honest, you know, we'd rather spend our time working on the game instead of trying to be like a credit card processor. We do have plans in motion to expand and streamline our offerings, and so maybe that's part of the nature of the question, is like, you know, what's our plan for credit card processing or billing in the future? I'm not ready to announce what we're going to do, but we are, you know, pretty far along in talks with a new vendor that would manage that process for us, and I think it would be more streamlined of an experience for users. It would also add additional payment options in other territories in Europe and other things. So look for more news on that front to come.
Just teasing them at the end, right?
Well, I mean, credit card processing is such an exciting and enticing topic. I'm sure it's unfair to tease you about
They've
it.
listened to this whole interview just waiting. When is he going to talk about credit card
Let's
processing?
finally talk about credit cards.
All right, let's get down to it.
Yeah, the real meat of the interview.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and
Absolutely.
thank you for allowing us to run around your studio for a couple days.
Please, make yourself right at home.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, James.
And that's it for Around the Verse. We will be back in LA next week with Sandy, so I'm sure that at this point you can see how she actually does tie the whole show together. But we are having a lot of fun out here. It's been great working with the Austin guys again, kind of sharing what they're about. And we are off to PAX South tomorrow. We hope to see a lot of you there. It's going to be some cool Star Citizen information. It'll be a good time. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and definitely, if you see us, come say hi. We'd love to hang out, chat with you, answer any questions that we can. Yeah, just, hopefully we'll see you there.
And of course, it wouldn't be ATV without an art sneak peek. We've got a video for you this time. Check it out. Well, thanks for watching. Thank you to subscribers for making this show possible. We will see you
In the
around
verse.
the verse.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
See ya.